Hello and welcome to today's video. You've read the title and I'm going to get into that, but I really want to preface the entire video with some quotes that I think are really pertinent to the situation at hand, and I'd love you to think about it. I'm going to read them out. There's not a lot of them. I think there's about 3 that I've got that I think is most relevant to this, and I'd love you to think about it. Just consider what I'm saying, and yeah, just really consider it, because I think they're important. Now, I'm going to get onto that. Obviously, you probably might have seen this great battle axe behind me and a movie poster. I'm making a film. You can find a link to that down below in the description box, and a GoFundMe, because I am crowdfunding for it. Now, that out of the way, let's read some quotes, shall we? And again, please do just consider what I'm saying. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Starting to sound a little bit more almost like a manuscript of society today, eh? Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book has been rewritten. Every statue and street and building has been renamed. Every date has altered, and that process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. So, interesting, right? I mean, those are interesting quotes. Do you know where they're from? Hopefully some of you do. Hopefully some of you are going, yep, I know exactly where they're from. And it's concerning, because I don't think they were ever intended to be, well, I guess like a warning or a plan of how to conduct yourself in the future. That was George Orwell's 1984. I think that speaks volumes to the society that we're slowly falling into today, don't you think? I think so. I'm very concerned. I'm very, very concerned. But hey, we're going to look at HBO Max removing Gone with the Wind from the library. And it's temporary. They've had to come out and say, oh, it's only temporary, calm down. This erasure of history is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And it's not just that either. Merriam-Webster Dictionary has chosen to change the definition of racism because of a complaint by one person. It's strange. Strange world we're living in right now. But anyway, this piece of art has been changed. It's been removed. And it's going to have a denouncement at the start, basically. So Variety had to, update this article because they had a new comment from a spokesperson from HBO Max, which says Gone with the Wind will eventually return to the platform with a discussion about its historical context and a denouncement of its racist depictions. Now, tell me, realistically, who is looking at that and going, oh, epic, great, I'm all for that. Definitely. Except for a fringe part of society. Like no one, literally no one. Again, apart from that fringe part of society, no one's looking at that going, yes, that's how we should live. Like, no one. Tragic. It's absolutely tragic what we're going through right now. On Tuesday, HBO Max removed the 1939 film from its library in the wake of protests over the death of George Floyd, which is awful, horrendous. That's not how that man died, is awful. But again, let's not get misconstrued, because a lot of people are misreporting that and saying that it was a group of white cops. It wasn't actually. The other cops were multicultural, or multiple ethnicities. So again, when we start to talk about the fact that it was just racially motivated, that starts to blur the lines. But because it doesn't fit the narrative, it's not being widely reported, which is a shame. Because it's important, right? That's an important fact in the discussion over that situation. But to go on to this situation, Gone with the Wind is a product of its time and depicts some of the ethnic and racial prejudices that have, unfortunately, been commonplace in American society. These racist depictions were wrong then and are wrong today, and we felt that to keep this title up without an explanation and a denouncement of those depictions would be irresponsible. This is not what we do in modern society, like a reasoned, logical society. Like we're well aware that that's bad. We're well aware that that's not right. You don't need to denounce it. That's not irresponsible. You know, no one looks at that and says, "Great, yes, epic. It's how I want to live." Again, apart from the fringe part of society, like we're not. This doesn't serve any purpose. This is just. I mean, this is just virtue signaling. Who are you? Who are you trying to appease here? Who are you? Who is this for? Because I guarantee you, half the people complaining about what's happening in the world today, they probably haven't even watched this. They haven't watched this. This is a piece of art. Are you going to remove their Academy Awards now? Like what's going on? These depictions are certainly counter to Warner Media's values. That's obvious. No one's looking at the companies going, "You condone that. That's embedded in your values." Like, no one. So when we return the film to HBO Max, it will return with a discussion of its historical context and a denouncement of those very depictions, but will be presented as it was originally created. Because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never existed. So what, you're just going to come up with a warning at the start, or like a pre-movie with someone discussing it and stuff? What? If we are to create more just, equitable, and inclusive future, we must first acknowledge and understand our history. But we're aware. That's why things are better. Do you know what I'm so confused by this. I simply can't wrap my head around it. I've recorded this video quite a few times, FYI, and each time I end up just going off on a tangent about the entirety and not honing in on this, which is what I'm supposed to do. Trying my hardest, ladies and gents. Now, the removal comes after a Los Angeles Times op-ed written by 12 Years a Slave screenwriter John Ridley called for the film to be taken down as it perpetuates racial stereotypes and glorifies the antebellum South. I don't think it's a glorification. Like, I don't think that's... No one looks at it and goes, glory days, you know? Perpetuates... What racial stereotypes is it perpetuating? Like, I don't personally know what they're implying here, but... Like, are you then going to... This is where I think we're on a really slippery slope. Because then the question comes, well, do the individuals that have... the film itself won 8 Academy Awards, right? Including Best Picture, Best Actress for Lee, Best Director for Victor Fleming, and Best Supporting Actress for McDaniel, who was the first black person to ever win an Oscar. Now, you removing it and saying, well, it just perpetuates this, that, and the other, are you then going to remove the Academy Awards? Because you're basically saying, like, it doesn't deserve them. But I guess that wouldn't fit the narrative so much, would it? Because obviously, you can't have... You wouldn't want to remove the Academy Award for McDaniel, would you? So, where are we going with this? Where's the end, And who is the arbiter of what is allowed at this point? Like, I had this discussion with someone about a video yesterday, which was about the jokes, right? Hartley Sawyer was removed from The Flash. And I had a discussion because they said, well, they're not funny. And I said, no, they're not. Like, the jokes are not funny. Of course not. But who's the arbiter of speech? I was like, jokes are ruled acceptable in the court of public opinion. Because you make a joke and it falls flat. There you go. Like, those jokes that he had put out, might I add 2011, 2014, definitely were not that funny. Like, not hugely funny at all. But they are given that sort of context and you know, the basis for them in the court of public opinion, people go, yeah, that's not funny. Like, he hadn't done them since, had he? So, but who becomes the arbiter? Like, where's the line? Where do we draw the line? Because the problem is, like, you may look at this now and say, well, this is fine, right? This is fine with current sort of trends. And yeah, sure, whatever. But this sets a precedent for people of a far more, and these people are extreme anyway, but of a far more extreme, violent leaning to run with this. And that's dangerous. That is dangerous. But anyway, whatever. Upon its release, Gone with the Wind broke theatre attendance records and was the highest grossing film of all time to that point. It's a piece of art. It still holds the record when adjusted for inflation. However, despite being considered one of the greatest films of all time, some film commentators have since criticised its depictions of slavery and black people by modern day standards. Like, no one, again, you cannot review a film and chastise it with modern day standards. Like, you can't. That's not, again, like, it's like looking back on people and judging them and, you know, apparently exposing them by modern day standards. You can't do that because they are a product of their time. You can, however, denounce the activities in modern day, right? Like, you can look at that and say, well, that's not acceptable by today's standards. Like, obviously, you know, he wouldn't be accepted in today's, you know, world. Like, you can't, that's not good. You can do that, of course, but you can't like retroactively go back and condemn something and say, well, this is terrible. This is shit because of this. But it was made in a time period. It's like it's a capsule of history. It's important to keep them as is because we learn from it. But, you know, whatever. That's fine, I guess. Keep virtue signalling. Following Floyd's death and nationwide protests against the oppression, blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, live PD and cops cancelled. That's never coming back either. Super dumb. And let's see the comments on this, right? I'm making over $9,000 a month. What? That's some spam by the looks of it. For those of you saying that this is George Orwell coming to fruition, I kindly like to point out that HBO Max and its parent company AT&T are publicly held companies with a board of trustees who have the discretion to edit, omit, stream, or publish anything they see fit. Well, yeah, but that's still... And people are saying, you know, boycott HBO or AT&T if you don't like it. I think that's... You know, you will lose some faith on doing this. This is not right. You know, whatever. You know, and people are like... Has any other people complaining ever read the entire article? Yeah, we know, but you don't need to denounce it because not only are you just making the audience out to be complete idiots, like, it just states the obvious. And also, it goes to show the whole situation for what it is, which is just virtue signalling. Because if you're just going to put it up anyway, but like, people are well aware that the depictions are wrong. Like, we know that. That's not rocket science, right? That's obvious. Really, really obvious, in fact. But then these plebs go, well, it's not censorship. No, it's not. It's just virtue signalling, which serves utterly no purpose. Because again, it's that steamroll effect. And where do you draw the line? Anyway, I thought this would make a interesting video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway, and really do think on those quotes that I gave you at the start. I think they're important and they're very pertinent to today. And again, it is a slippery slope, like it genuinely is. And a lot of people say it's a bad argument, but you only have to look around at society and you can see that that is truth. Like, the slippery slope argument carries itself out, like it bears truth because it's represented around us today. I only have to point to London. Bristol was allowed to knock down a statue, literally allowed by the police. Vandalism at public expense. Shocking. And now what's happening all over London? They're reviewing every single statue. That is the slippery slope argument played out right there. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Please do let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you all so much, though. I've Mr. Age. Take care.